Be doing a review of the Logitech G303 gaming mouse. So this would be an upgrade review from the Logitech G302, as really it does sport basically the same shape and the same feel, except they upgraded the sensor, they added an RGB, and also they added a braided cable and also a couple new buttons. So I'm going to be talking about mainly at this price point whether a new G303 is worth it over the G302 if you have the G302, or if you've never had the G303 and you just want to try it out, whether it's worth it as well. So some background, I think you can probably get on the price point, you can probably get this at $69.99 or $59.99. It's a fairly cheap mouse. I think a year ago, this is an old mouse, a year ago it was going at $79.99 or $8.99, and it did sport one of the best performing sensors out there, namely the PixArt P3388, I believe. And because it's one of the sensors which was not publicly available. I mean, the one publicly available was the 3310. So this was the only mouse at the time, I think it was 6-7 months ago when it was released, or a year ago, that did support this sensor. So definitely in the sensor upgrade area, it performs extremely well. There's no problems with the max tracking, and definitely at the higher DPI settings, it tracks quite well. So with the DPI, they changed from the older AM010 mouse, which did have to it was called like it used the same sensor as like the G402, the Hyperion. So to be honest, in terms of tracking speed, well, sometimes when you went up to like 3 meters per second, 4 meters per second, it didn't track that well. So they did decide to implement a better sensor in, and it performs very well. In terms of the shape, if you've used the G302 before, it's basically the same shape as that. So you can see it's a fairly small mouse. It's a little bit heavy actually. It's actually 87 grams for a small mouse. I guess it's relatively light, but I think it's still, you would feel a little bit of the weight. It has an awkward shape. I think that's the main thing that people complain about the G302. However, but the shape allowed you to really like claw grip it quite nicely. And actually if you did claw grip it, did make, at least when I used it playing Dota, it allowed me to make more precise movements quite quickly, more so compared to a lot of the other mice. However, I wouldn't say it's a very comfortable mouse. However, I can say that the shape does allow me to make more micro movements quite well. I think if you're comfortable with the G302, this would definitely be up your alley. If you didn't like the G302, you probably wouldn't like this mouse either. And I think if you were just going it for the sensor, I wouldn't really recommend it. Other things they upgraded, they upgraded the RGB, which is pretty cool. I think this is pretty common standard along a lot of new mice, a lot of flagship mice, you can upgrade the RGB. They did add 2 side buttons here, which is quite convenient. I think they didn't have the side buttons before, so it just provides a little bit more utility. And also they actually added 2 new mouse feet, if you can see right here on the bottom, on the left and the right. The G302 didn't have that, so a lot of people had problems when they were picking up the mouse. It kind of caused like a slight lift that was really quite uncomfortable to stop tracking. So this really solves that problem, so it doesn't like lift as much every time we just pick up the mouse. So in that sense, I think it's quite good that they added that, and they did in a new refresh. Another refresh they did was the braided cable. This is a personal preference. I personally don't like it, but that's what it is. Overall, for its upgrade for $69.99, I think I pretty much talked about everything in terms of an upgrade. If you like the G302, this would be up your alley. If you didn't like G302, this won't be up your alley. And if you've never used the G302 or the 303, this is a very good performing mouse at a pretty good price point. However, the shape is something that I would highly recommend you trying it out, because the ambidextrous shape, and also it's a fairly small form factor, and really not be for you, and a lot of people have complained about it. So I hope you guys like the G303. I think personally it's a fairly, I mean, in terms of performance, it has helped me perform quite well. However, I wouldn't say it's the most comfortable mouse compared to maybe the rival, not the rival, sorry, the Munich Caster, which is I put in a very similar, I guess the smaller form factor I guess category. And also with the rival, for example, the Rival 100, which is slightly newer, not also that new, but I just bought it recently, so I'll be doing a review on this mouse. It's probably not as comfortable as the Rival 100 either. So hope you guys liked that video review, and stay tuned, because I'll be doing a review of the Final Mouse 2015, and also hopefully the Rival 100 and 300 as well. So thanks for watching, guys, again. Hey guys, it's Takasta here again, welcome to another video review. So today I'll be doing a review of the Logitech G303 gaming mouse. So this would be an upgrade review from the Logitech G302, as really it does sport basically the same shape and the same feel, except they upgraded the sensor, they added an RGB, and also they added a braided cable and also a couple new buttons. So I'm going to be talking about mainly at this price point whether a new G303 is worth it over the G302 if you have the G302, or if